So the seller needs to give you a couple of documents so that you're able to do registration of the transfer and now get the title in your name. So the most important document is, of course, they'll give you the original title.
Yes.
All right.
At this point, they can.
Yes. Not at this point. We are talking about the things that will be contained in the agreement, because you need to capture. At this point, you haven't even made the payment. At this point, they are not giving you the documents. So we are capturing the things that will be contained in the paperwork, in the agreement for sale. So you said it will contain, of course, the details of the seller, the details of the buyer, the details of the property, the documents now that they will give to you to enable you to do registration, and then it will contain how you will pay the amount. The deposit, how that will be structured, how you will pay the deposit, how you will pay the balance, and if anybody doesn't fulfill their obligations under this agreement, what is the recourse? What is your fallback? You know? And many other things. Of course, professionals are more placed to advise on these things, because there's no way we can exhaust it, even if we do 5 hours, you know.
At the end of the day, when it comes to this paperwork, when it comes to this land agreement, I, as somebody who's not a conveyancing lawyer, I have no way of saying that this now document contains everything that protects me. And that is where you come in, that's why you said in the beginning that you should be in that conversation. As my conveyancing lawyer, or as your conveyancing lawyer should be in that conversation where you decide, these are the documents needed, this is the purchase price, and all those things. Okay, so then I needed to tell people to note that, like, as Kenyans, we're very obsessed with the word title deed, or that document title deed, right? And that is also one of the reasons why when they're advertising, companies, when they're advertising land, the title deed. But I hope you've noted that from Wamoyo's explanation, the title deed, she has not yet mentioned the title deed anywhere. There are so many other documents that are important in the land buying process before we get to the title deed.
Yes. Because again, even when you get that title, it's only as good as the process that was followed in getting the title. Because even when you go to the law, they say a title deed is evidence that you own land. But this evidence can be refuted if there's information that you obtain it either illegally or irregularly. So that title can be cancelled. So you need to make sure, before I get a title with my name, did I follow the process that led up to me owning this title?
The process is more important in this case.
So now we are at the point where we are discussing the paperwork, that is the agreement and what should be contained. Now, it's very advisable or it's ideal if both parties have their lawyers. So the seller has their lawyer, the purchaser has their lawyer. So the procedure usually is the seller's lawyer comes up with the first draft and says, these are the terms on which our client is selling the land. Me as the person representing the purchaser, I'll go through that and I'll see if, does it protect my client? Does it contain the things that, protect my client? If it doesn't, I'll come in and say, no, we need to change this and this clause, we need to add this and this clause, until at a point where I'm satisfied, both of us are satisfied that your client is well protected, my client is well protected. At that point, they can sign. So the seller signs, and your lawyer witnesses your signature, because again, an agreement that doesn't have witnesses is as good as any other piece of paper flying around. So you need to you sign, and your lawyer witnesses, or any other person can witness, and then now my client signs and my lawyer witnesses, and then we take these documents, we pay a stamp duty for it. It's usually a minimal fee of 140 shillings, and the document gets stamped. Now that is a document you can rely on even 10 years, 20 years from now. Anywhere you stand in court to say, I was buying this piece of land, that is the only document you can show. That actually you are buying this piece of land, and these were the terms under which you are buying that piece of land. So of course, with the seller doesn't take on so much risk when they're selling land, because all they need to ensure is that they have received their money. For the buyer, they take on more risks, because they have the risk of losing the money or getting a fake title is so much higher. So they need more protection. Which is the reason why you always need your lawyer to look at the agreement you're signing. All right? Because if this agreement is prepared by the lawyer for the seller, they'll put in clauses
to protect,
or terms that they favor their client. Sometimes the interest of the seller conflicts with the interest of the buyer. So if you don't get somebody to review that agreement for you, and who knows the legal jargon and can point out, hey, this and this, you shouldn't agree to it.
Yes, because that's the thing. At the end of the day, as a person who's never been to law school, we don't know how to read and interpret these documents. There are obviously going to be sections of this document that you completely do not understand. Yes.
So then now you need your lawyer to just tell you this document. Now you're good to go. This one, this and this clause, no. This and this clause, no. And maybe if I can point out the 3 most important things, if you're buying, the 3 most important things that you, or hopefully your lawyer or the professional who is representing you should be keen on. One, it's a clause called the completion date.
Okay.
Now this completion date is where if the buyer will do the registration of the title, this is the date when they get the documents from the seller to enable them do that. So we listed down those documents. Now there's the title, there's the transfer that has been signed, there's land control board consent. Of course, now these documents differ from transaction to transaction because land is divided in regimes. So we have land that is leasehold, we have land that is freehold, and different documents are required for the different regimes. But now, so assuming it's just land in an agricultural area, so these are the topical documents you'll need. So there's the title, there's the transfer that has been signed and witnessed. There's the ID, KRA PIN, passport pictures, and spousal consent. Very important, because there's a concept called matrimonial property. And the other time we had a decision from one of the courts, and there was a lot of public debate about matrimonial property. Now, what you need to know is, if you're married and there's property you've acquired, either you or your spouse, you've acquired within the context of this marriage, there's spousal interest that attaches to that. And you cannot just sell this piece of land to somebody without involving your spouse. So and if you do, your spouse can go to court and seek for the cancellation of this title.
So it doesn't matter whether this piece of land is registered under me alone without my spouse being involved, or it's registered under 2 of us. At the end of it, the 2 of us they need to be consented.
Because there's the law says it is assumed, if you're married and you have acquired this property within the context of a marriage, there's an assumption that you are holding, even if the land is in your name alone, there's an assumption that you are holding it in trust for the 2 of you.
That's the thing. Now I understand.
So it's very important to make sure that you get the right documents, because if you don't, the spouse, nothing stops the spouse from going to court and saying, this land, I have matrimonial interest in it, my husband sold it, I did not consent, I need the title cancelled. And we have tons of cases where that has happened. Mostly it affects the banks. It affects the bank where the bank gives loan using title as security. They don't get the consent of the spouse, and when this person has defaulted and the bank is coming to sell the land, guess what happens? The spouse runs to court. I wasn't even aware.
ID was not even, and we hear that every day.
And the court will say, if you're able to prove to the court and you are not aware, and you have spousal interest or matrimonial interest in this property, all the time the court cancels the charge. So you get back your land, and now it's the person who got the loan at the back who ende wakaitanishia na huko.
Okay, now we see where the problem is.
So you see now, even when you're buying, you should take the same steps. Make sure this property is matrimonial, get a spousal consent.
Okay. Let's go back to, you said 3 important things. Completion date. What is the second one?
Now, completion date now is the date when you'll get those documents to do the transfer. Now, you need to have a very certain date. Let it not be from 30 days from when you get the title from the registry. Who knows when you'll get the title from the registry? Let it be a date that is very definite. It's on this date of this month of this year. So that now when it's past that date and you haven't gotten the title, you have recourse, you know? Because sometimes there's tendency by sellers or the seller's lawyers to put something that is very indefinite.
Very vague.
So they'll say 30 days from something that, nobody knows when it happened. And it happens a lot, especially when you're buying property off plan. You told me you have bought a property off plan. So now with off plan, there's a tendency for the developer to put a clause that says, we will give you the title or the completion date will be 30 days from the date that we will get the architect to give us a certificate confirming that they have finished construction. The question is, who knows what that date will be?
Yeah.
So if 5 years down the line or 10 years down the line, you haven't gotten your title, there's nowhere you can go, because if you go to court, they'll say, completion date haijafika. The architect has not given us the certificate of completion.
Yes.
It's a very tricky area.
Okay.
It's a very tricky area. So for me, as a lawyer representing a buyer, I'll always make sure that the completion date is definite. The other thing I'll always make sure is the purchase price, the money that my client is paying. Before we can do the transfer, is protected. In most cases, or rather in 98%. All right. Mostly I'll stipulate that, now this is assuming now the seller has a lawyer and the buyer has a lawyer. I'll say the money that my client is paying, let it be held in the lawyer's account, the lawyer for the seller. And that is again why it's very important for you to take on professionals. Do not just pick a lawyer on the streets. Please.
Yes, because the minute you said that I'm supposed to transfer the money to the lawyer, I'm like, what if the lawyer now disappears with my money?
Exactly. Yeah. So now, if you took a lawyer on the street and you can't trust them with your money, you shouldn't be having that lawyer in the first place.
So how do I know that you're a legit lawyer? Like you, Amoyo, how do I know that you're a legit conveyancing lawyer? And that you're not from the streets, like you're saying.
So there are several things you can do when you're picking a lawyer, just to make sure that you're dealing with a professional. The first thing, when you're interacting with a lawyer, ask them for their practicing certificate for the year. So for us, we have regulation and like
the land selling companies.
We have regulations. So for us, we are governed by the Law Society of Kenya. And every year we are issued with a practicing certificate
every year.
Every year, saying that you are authorized to practice law as at that year. So let them not give you a PC from 2 years ago or 1 year ago. Let them give you their valid current practicing certificate. Now, if you have that, you're even able to do a quick search on Google. Just type search advocate, rate the name of the advocate. Their details should pop up. With their name, their register, with their admission number, and where they work and their address.
That's such a good hack,
right? So that is the first step. So you're sure that the person you're dealing with first is
legit,
is registered. Two, it's important to ask around. Again, reputation. Right? Reputation. It will be preferable if you get a referral from somebody who's dealt with this person and they've never crossed them. So I would say just the way you choose a doctor, when you're going for a doctor, just the way you choose a doctor, or you choose, what professional is it? Just the way you would vet the doctor you're going to, probably from reputation, from their brand, from the stories you hear of people who've gone to their clinic, that kind of thing.
It's the same
thing when you're choosing a lawyer, but you just make sure they're licensed, but it's not enough. Just try to find out their reputation. But the other thing, maybe it will be a bit more cumbersome, but we have a complaints commission, an advocate complaints commission. You can go and just let them check if this person has been involved in any scandal, if anybody has reported them, they have any complaints, that kind of thing.
Back to the paperwork, you've talked about handling the purchase price, and I was shocked that you would recommend that I send money to my lawyer. Why?
And now, the reason why it's very important is sometimes you'll have transactions where it's a lot of money. And even when it's kidogo money, there's no kidogo money.
There's no little money.
500,000.
It's not little money. A lot of people save even for 5 years to get that 500,000.
Yes. So the reason why, again, now assuming this is an ideal situation where the seller has a very professional lawyer and the buyer has a very professional lawyer, and which happens all the time, because with many high-value transactions, you do not then do them without lawyers. You do not.
Yes, that's true.
So now the money will be held in the account it's called a client account, and professionally, you're not supposed to touch money in the client account. You cannot even use it for your office needs. You cannot professionally, and if you do it, you can be reported and be struck out as a lawyer. So now I'll insist that the money be held in the account, in the client account, for the advocate for the seller.
Yes.
Now, this money will be held there. Give me the completion documents. I go do registration. And the reason why it's important for it to be held there, still, many things, even when you've done your due diligence, many things can go wrong between the time you did your due diligence and the time you're doing registration.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Because assuming even in cases where it's taking even 30 days or 90 days between when I did my due diligence and I'm going to do the transfer, who knows if you entered into a dispute with somebody and they went and placed a caution, between that time,
no
like between when I did the search and when I'm going for registration.
Yes.
Who knows if somebody filed a case against you involving this piece of property and the court registered a prohibition.
Who knows if you sold it to somebody else?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Good point.
Yeah.
Who knows if you sold it to somebody else? It happens all the time.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So for me to protect myself between the time I did my due diligence and the time I'm registering the transfer, now the money will be there. Okay? You give me the documents, I go to the registry. If they tell me there's something now that has happened between that time, there's a caution, there's a restriction, this person sold to somebody else, this person has taken a security, then I'll be like, let's cancel this transaction, and because the money is somewhere held safely, refund the money, we refund to you, we return the documents to you,
and
right?
you move on.
Right?
Yeah.
But if nothing has happened between that time and there's nothing that has gone wrong, then I'll be able to do my registration, I'll get the title in my client's name, and I'll tell you, I have managed to do registration successfully. You can release whatever money you are holding on behalf of your client to your client. And the transaction ends successfully, everybody goes home happy.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. There's no need for courts and the TV and embarrassing scenarios.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so talk to us about default clauses.
Now, the default clauses are the fallback clause.
Yes.
So we had an agreement that said the completion date is
7th October.
7th of October this year.
Yeah.
It's 8th of October, you have not given me these documents.
Yes.
All right?
What am I
So the agreement will say, so what if you do not give me these documents by this and this time?
Yes.
It will contain clauses that now protect me. So if I'm a purchaser and I had already paid the deposit and maybe I have even paid the balance and now it's 8th of we said which
October.
Of October. You have not given me the documents. Now in most times we will say you return the documents.
Yes. It's a default clause.
It's a default clause. So if you haven't given me the documents, then now I can tell you, according to the agreement, it says if you do not give me the documents by this and this date, you refund me the money, and it will even have a timeline within 30 days. And if you don't return my money within 30 days, it starts accruing interest. Okay? So the seller will not play around if they know they have such a clause in the agreement.
That's such an interesting clause, in that if you haven't done so by X date, the money will start accruing interest.
All right.
So it even protects me as the seller.
Yes.
Oh wow, that's a good
it makes sure. So the default clauses have to say, fine, we have agreed on all these.
Yeah.
But many things go wrong. You know.
Yes.
I could be buying this piece of land, even as the purchaser, you can default in the sense that probably. So my financials were okay.
Yeah.
I paid you the deposit.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm supposed to pay you the balance in 30 days time. Then between this time, God forbid, something happens to my child and I have to, take her to hospital and use the money. You see now that means I'll not be able to pay you the balance.
Yes.
So again, the default clauses will say, so what will happen in such an instance? So you can give me a completion notice, say, I'm ready to proceed with the transaction, please pay up. If I don't pay up within the time we have agreed and you have given me a notice, now there's usually a clause saying, from the deposit I've said, I forgot 10%.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You forgot 10% of what of the purchase price, you refund the money, and now it will also have a timeline within when you will refund the money, the other money, on top of that I have paid on top of what I have forfeited.
Yes.
So basically, the default are the fallback clauses.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Because that's a very important thing. Because by that time, if you've sent money, you don't want to lose any money. That's what we are saying.
And the other thing I would say also about the default clause is, if there's ever a dispute and you guys have to go to court, the agreement is very clear. This is what will happen. So you don't need to go to court for 3 years trying to say, actually, this is what we agreed. The agreement is very clear. Refund the money. You haven't refunded the money within the time that was agreed. This is the interest payable. It's very easy. When the transaction goes wrong, it's very easy for you to get back to the position you are in when you have a good agreement.
Yes,
right?
That's what. Yes. Exactly. I like that statement when you say that the agreement is very clear. Because that's what lawyers say, right? It's like the agreement is very clear. There's no debate here. So you're preventing debates. You're preventing debates that go on for 5 years, for 10 years, for 19 years. It's just like the
In
agreement.
fact, let me tell you, Agatha. So we have different kinds of lawyers. So there's the conveyancing lawyers, the litigation lawyers, and the lawyers go to court.
Yes.
One of my goals is to make sure this matter does not end up in court. I am avoiding litigation, so I'll be as clear as possible.
Okay.
In fact, you'll even find clauses where a lawyer says, for the avoidance of doubt.
Okay. Now we're being educated.
We are stopping. We are preventing a scenario where a judge has to say, "This is what you mean.
Yeah.
This is what you meant.
This is what you meant."
No.
Okay.
Just be very clear, so that even if you have to go to court, the court just looks at the document and says, "But this is what it says. You are supposed to pay up. So just pay up.
Just pay up."
It just lessens the time if there's a dispute at the end. It just
I really love this conversation because it has even taught me what litigation is, what a litigation lawyer is. So it's basically like you saying that, Agatha, I don't want you to go to court. Because going to court and prison and such things are not fun. Like as a normal Kenyan, you should avoid it, right? It's a waste of time. And mental health, obviously if you have to appear in court, you have to stop working, you have to leave your kids. I love that.
And something else. Something else. And this is where we are always having a problem. Now, when somebody does the whole thing we've talked about, when somebody now goes into a transaction, they haven't done with their due diligence, they don't have the agreement, now the transaction has gone wrong, they have not been given the title, they had paid the money, and you come to me. Do you know you put me in such a awkward situation? Because when you come to me and selling me umekoniwa, the first thing I'll ask you, where is the copy of the title? Sometimes they don't even have a copy of the title they were buying. I ask you for the agreement. You don't have an agreement. And even if you have, it's an agreement that does not have a completion date. It's an indefinite date. It has not been witnessed. It's not something that I can take to court.
So it's possible for me to come to you and you can't help me.
Oh yes, and I'll still charge you to look at your document.
And you still charge me.
I'll charge you because I'm spending money to ask you this question and to look at your document. So I think for my call would be, don't go when it's too late. Do not go when I have had clients who have come to our offices and we have not been able to help them because it's too late. Even if I go to court, I'll ask you for money to go to court, but I cannot guarantee that you'll get this money back because sometimes it's too late. The company you are dealing with, it crumbled. Maybe some people died. Maybe they went their separate ways, and this is the thing that happens with land selling companies. They mess up. There's a fraud, there's a scandal, and because the name we know is ABC Limited, A goes away and creates another company called XYZ. B goes away and creates another company called, and this continue doing the shenanigans. I'm telling you, it's ridiculous.
That's why we have a history in this country where somebody was involved in X scandal, in X land scandal, and now they're involved in YX scandal. And we always ask, where is the government? Why are they not doing? So that's what happens. Okay, all right. So now that we've gotten the right paperwork, is it now time to get our title deed?
Yes. So you've gotten the paperwork, you've signed. The money has been held in the account for the seller's advocate. You've gotten now the completion documents. You've gone to the registry. Everything checks out. You've gotten the title. So the other thing maybe you can do is just do a quick search after you've gotten the title in the purchaser's name. You can just do a quick search just to confirm that the entries were done right. And then from there, with that title document, you can go home, place it on the safe, take it to the bank, put it in, in safe deposit, whatever. Now you can rest assured and you can sleep well at night. You can, at any point if you need that title, it's available. If you need a quick if you need a quick loan, you can use property as security. And even if you die, you don't leave your children in scandals where they have to go around everywhere looking for people you pay the money to. I mean, it just saves everybody. Let's say it just saves everybody.
So through that process now we have a title deed. So we are now safe and we can say that we are legit landowners. So I have a few questions that are submitted by the Wealth Tribe. If I ask a question and you've already covered it, you don't have to repeat. And you don't have to repeat. Question 1. Does buying land from a SACCO that has been in existence for a long time guarantee for safety?
That's a good question. I would say it's not a guarantee because a SACCO is like any other brand. For example, you can have a good brand for, say, you are moisturizing well. And for 2 years it has served you so well, and then the third year you go to buy it, you're like, what
you're having breakouts.
So things happen over the years, mostly when there's change in leadership. So it could be the SACCO was very good and reputable at a time, it had a certain management. Then somebody left, and then somebody came in, and then there's a shambles.
And it happens all the time in this country.
So you just, it doesn't matter who you're dealing with, just always do your due diligence.
Always. It doesn't matter whether you've seen this SACCO on TV or even, the other thing, that the other excuse people use is, my aunt has been in this SACCO for 10 years, my mother has been in this SACCO for 10 years. So no, it doesn't matter how long it's been in existence, who in your family has been belonging in that SACCO for 10 years, you have to do due diligence.
Oh yes, you have.
Cool. What options do you have when you realize you've been conned? Like my friend, what options does she have now that she was conned?
Oh no, I think I have covered this a bit when you are concluding. It depends on. So you've been conned, and you come to me. First of all, do you have what it takes for us to go to court and get these people to pay up? So for example, do you have a good agreement that had been signed, had been witnessed, had been stamped? If you have, we can go to court and get a judgment and get these people to refund you your money. Now, if you don't, again, it becomes a bit of a problem. The other thing, it depends. As at the time you're realizing you've been conned, is this company still in good shape in terms of, even if you go get the judgment, will you come and find a shell of a company because now everybody left, there are no assets, there's nothing you can attach? And you see, now there's a risk when you're buying land from a company or even dealing with a company generally in legal transactions. You see, now with a company, it has a very separate entity from its owners or from its directors. So if you get a judgment against my company and you come and find there's no assets in the name of my company, you cannot come for my personal assets.
And people do that to protect themselves.
Yes. And even though there's some exemptions where you can go after my personal assets, it's a very hard, difficult, lengthy, gruesome process that you do not want to go through. So just protect yourself from day one. So that if you come to me, if now by the time you're realizing now things have gone down, you've lost your money, and you come and the company is no longer a viable business, you no longer even have a physical address, you no longer have any assets in the name of the company again, you'll get a judgment and you may never get money from that judgment. So I think what I'm trying to say is, from day one, just do the right thing. From day one,
just do the right thing.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So the other question was, what is the full scope of due diligence? That one we've covered.
Oh yes.
You know all the steps.
Yes.
How would you know that the land you're buying does not have any previous court disputes?
Now we covered that a bit. And because for the court disputes, unless now there's because of the court case, there's an entry that has been raised at the registry, you're not able to know, because even if you do a quick search, there's no database that contains all the cases that have been filed in the Republic. So now again, your only protection will be, you see now, if there's a court case, and something happens between the time we are doing this deal and the transfer, the money is still being held. So if anything goes wrong, I can get the money back. Yes. So again, like the other answer is, involve a conveyancing lawyer, involve a lawyer, because as you said, you can't Google, does this piece of land have any court cases? You can't do that. You may not get that information. How would you know these real estate companies in adverts are legit? I think that's also a question, like, how would you know that the land they're selling is legit? And we've covered that a lot. I think there's no 100% way of knowing. Just have to do your due diligence. I trust you because I saw you on TV or on radio or on my best influencers page, but still you have to do your due diligence. I don't think there's a way of running from due diligence. That you're just saying, no, I trust you.
No, I like that.
Land and trust does not exist in the same sentence, just know that.
Land and trust doesn't exist in the same sentence, and there's no way of escaping due diligence. I really love that, because basically, like, a lot of questions and a lot of concerns are people saying, how can I avoid
Yeah,
yeah.
How can I avoid trying to avoid that whole process?
Yeah, how can I avoid this due diligence? Okay,
that's like you're having a baby. You just have to go through the pregnancy.
You have to go through the pregnancy. We can't save you from the pain. That's a good one. What is the process of replacing a lost title deed, and what are the costs involved?
Now, replacing a lost title deed, first of all, it depends with where the land is, and again, the regime under which the land is.
Yeah.
But basically, there's a process where you have to do an application.
Yes.
We have to do an application with the relevant registry. You have to publish the issue of the lost title in the Kenya Gazette.
Wow.
You also have to advertise it in the papers, because sometimes, and the reason why there are all these measures when you're replacing a lost title, is where you're saying the title is lost, but you have it somewhere, and then we give you another title, and now you'll be having two original titles for the same piece of land.
Makes you a fraudster.
You can bring it to the attention of the registry.
Okay.
So you have to do the Kenya Gazette notice. You have to do the two advertisements in the newspapers. And then now you make the application. You attach all those documents. Now then the title is replaced. But it's a whole rigorous process. I cannot advise on the cost because it will depend first what title, what registry, what's the value of the piece of land, because in terms of legal fees, we base our legal fees based on the value of the property.
That's a good one. And so you need a lawyer for this process.
Yes. Oh, yes,
clearly it's not, I mean, the average Kenyan doesn't know how to access the Kenya Gazette.
Exactly. There's a whole process there. Yeah.
Okay. How do I know that the piece of land is open for sale in a way that is not fraud or government property? I think you've covered that.
You've covered that,
yes. Then somebody say, kindly enumerate the process of land buying from identification to full ownership. That one we've done. Highlighting the salient points or requirements to look out for at each stage. We've done that. Yes, that one you can't. What happens when you purchase land in installments before completion of payment? It gets sold to another party without your knowledge.
Good question. It happens a lot. Yeah. I can tell you for a fact it happens a lot. Yeah. Now, you remember when I had told you that most, for us conveyancing lawyers, when you're representing buyers, we want the money to be held by the lawyers. Sometimes when the payment is installments, it's usually not a very practical way of handling it. Okay. So sometimes, because again, if maybe we have land where people buy over a period of like 2 years, you cannot just keep this money from this person and yet they have to wait for 2 years. So in that case, I think for me, my fallback is usually the agreement for sale that we draft and the terms contained therein. Just to protect my seller, I'll have my client, who is the buyer, I'll have a clause that prohibits the seller from selling this piece of land to anybody else, even entering to an agreement or receiving any deposit. Okay. And again, with my agreement, it will have fallback clauses. If you go ahead and do that, I have recourse. And part of the recourse is going to court and telling the court, I have this agreement. It says that this person was to sell me this piece of land, and I can actually there's a remedy called specific performance. Okay. This is where you are forced by the court to transfer the land to me, even if you'd rather transfer it to, say, John, who's paid you higher for this piece of land. That exists. Oh yes. At the end of the day, if you do things right, then you can recover your money. You can recover your money. And even in the event that it's a very prime piece of land that you can, even if you get the money back, you may not get it for the same amount. You can decide, I do not want the money, I want the land. Because you are protected from the beginning. Yes. Can say you want the land, and the court forces the seller to actually transfer the land to you, even when they'd rather. Then sometimes it happens that so I'm selling you this piece of land for 2 million. We have negotiated, you have paid me the deposit. Then tomorrow I find somebody who is willing to buy it for 3 million. I've had such cases. Okay. Right? So for you, if you have proper paperwork and you have you have proper legal advice, you can get the court to force me to transfer it to you. Yes. Oh wow. That's so awesome to know that, it's not all laws, because anytime we think about land scams, you're like, oh gosh, me as a me poor person, I have no protection. But the key is you have to get it right from the beginning, from the paperwork, from everything, so that now when you're going to court, it's not even a case of, do you actually even have an agreement? Yes. It needs to be there, clear. So that if I decide, I want this one, this is mine. Yes. Okay. Yes. That's really beautiful. Now, last question. Yes. What is Artisasa? Is it a long process? Or? No. So what I would say Artisasa now, there has been an intention by the government. We are going digital in everything, you know. There has been an intention by the government for the longest time to digitize land. So this is digitizing our records, digitizing our transactions, so that now we can be doing things online. Now, think of Adisasa is the platform that the government is using for that. Think of it as e-citizen. You know, the way you can access e-citizen and access a couple of services, then there, apply for things online, pay, get receipts, get whatever documents you're applying for online, the same thing, but now for land. It's now being done in phases. We are now, for now it has covered Nairobi, but eventually it's going to be rolled out across the country. And maybe we're still at that. Now, with digitization, there are a lot of things that are happening. So, for example, if you have a title that the title number is Nairobi block that one is already online. So if you have such a piece of land that the title documents read Nairobi block just know that already you should have created an Adisasa account. You should have uploaded that copy of title so that the property can get verified. And if you do not do that, you cannot transact that piece of land. You cannot do it manually. You have just to do it on the online system. So it's something that I think a lot of people don't know this, but it's something that you should be doing, because then you'll need to use that title one day, and then now you're being told, oh, Adisasa, and you don't even know what it's about, and you need it urgently. So I think people should start doing that. At the same time, now we have land in Nairobi that does not read that. It's called, the titles, I would call them RTA titles, because I told you we have different regimes when it comes to title. So for the RTA titles, there are two systems there are two things that are going on with the Ministry of Lands. One, it's the digitization, and two, there's something called consolidation. Is it consolidation? What's the name I give it? So for the longest time, we had so many laws that govern land. In 2012, all those laws were consolidated into two pieces of legislation. So we have the Land Act and the Land Registration Act. So now we had different types of titles. Now the people know the normal title that is written title deed. It has a seal at the bottom, red in color, but there are many different types of title. For example, in Nairobi, most titles are RTA. They don't look like that. They look like something different. We also have titles called GLA. They look something different. We also have titles called long-term leases, usually for apartments. So for all the so a lot of them are being consolidated so that there's uniformity. So that's the goal. With that, there are properties that have been put in the gazette in gazette notices over last year. A lot of gazette notices were put out. So again, if your piece of land, and if it's in Nairobi, chances are it's in those gazette notices. Again, you should be surrendering the title to the registry for conversion. So there's a whole process that is being done online for that again.
Maybe this is an opportunity for the Wealth Tribe to tell us if that is a conversation they would like us to have in the next video, because clearly there's a lot we haven't covered. But the goal of this video was, what is due diligence and what should I do in order to make sure that I have satisfied the process of due diligence? So basically what Monica is saying is that a land offer is not enough, because what happens to most of us is that somebody approaches you, or a company approaches you and gives you a land offer, and you think, wow, now I have completed it. So what she's saying is that is not enough. Now, Monica, thank you. This was such an awesome conversation.
I've also had so much fun. Thank you for having me.
You've taught me, you've schooled me so much. And I can imagine if I, as a finance person, have been this school, what about the person who is watching this? Now, where can we find you? If we want conveyancing services, where can we find you?
All right. So I am based here in Nairobi. Maybe I can give my email address. Or even my phone number. But if anybody would like to visit us, we are just here at Nairobi at Rehani House. That's at the junction of Kenyatta Avenue and Koinange Street. But for now, maybe I can give my phone number. It's 0715 93 4413. So, and your email? My email is MO. I don't know if you'll be able to
I will type it. I will type it and put it in the description box.
MONIE. That is Moni. Then Wamuyu at gmail.com.
So thank you guys for watching. As always, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Thank you and bye.